Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This first Christmas tree review is going to be on this really gorgeous, luxe looking Walmart tree for only $169. Now I'm going to be reviewing this tree based on a few things. I have my notes here, so don't forget anything, that's why I look down. I'm going to be talking about the setup and like the realism of the tree, the fullness, the lights, the flocking, and then I want to talk about a little bit about the pros and cons, because it's really interesting to see what they took out in order to make it $169. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first thing I want to talk about is the setup of the tree. The setup of the tree is super easy and pretty basic. It comes with a metal stand in 3 sections. You put each section on top of each other and you're good to go. Now it does vary a little bit with other Christmas trees I've had in the past, because the lights don't click on automatically when you put in each section. This one, you put in the section and then you actually physically have to plug in each section of the lights. So that's how this one works. It also doesn't come with a foot pedal or anything. You just plug it into the wall to turn on the lights and that's it. Another thing that they have is memory branches, which I love. So it's almost like they compensated on the lights for the memory branches, and I'm really glad that they picked the memory branches, because that just makes setting it up a lot easier. The branches easily come down and then minimal fluffing and you are good to go. You still have to fluff it though. Any tree or wreath or anything, you really have to fluff. Like, fluffing is so important, but it makes your fluffing job a lot easier. Now, one reason that this tree is so easy to set up is because it's only 28 pounds, which is incredible. Another thing is it is only 50 inches wide, which still makes a good substantial Christmas tree, but it is more on the narrow side of Christmas trees. Now that we know about the setup, let's go ahead and get into the fullness of the tree, which directly relates to the tip count. The fullness and the tip count of the tree is really the bread and butter of the Christmas tree, because that really lends to the quality and the fullness of the Christmas tree. Now, some Christmas trees are made to not be super full because it's supposed to have that like natural Charlie Brown Christmas tree look. Some are supposed to have that look. I think more of this like traditional type of tree, it's made to be more full and less sparse. Now, the cool thing is this tree, okay, has 1,336 tree tips. You're probably thinking, what does that mean to me? Well, let me turn on my computer. Okay. So the reason why that this is so amazing is because other trees in the $169 price range, this size, really you're talking 800 tips. Okay. So 800, maybe 1,000 tips, but not 1,336. That is a lot of tips for this price point. Now, if you want to go and get a little bit more expensive tree, let's say the $300 to $500 range, which is still kind of inexpensive for an artificial Christmas tree. I mean, not $169, it's expensive, but you know, you're talking over 1,900 tips. Over 1,300 tips for $169 it's just a very, very good deal. Now, I was very curious because all my trees have been over 1,900 tips that are this size. So I was curious to see really how full or sparse it would be. I personally noticed a difference. I can tell that it does have overall less tips. However, that wouldn't be, it doesn't look like it's a sparse, cheap tree either. One thing I love about this tree when it comes to the overall shape. So the shape of this tree is one of the reasons I also fell in love with this tree, and I really wanted to review it for you guys, is because it has a very natural shape to it. The branches kind of swoop out. So they swoop out and then go in, and it swoops out and goes in, and it gives a very natural look. I always measure the fullness or the tip count by whether or not you can see the pole and in the middle of the tree, because to me, if you're supposed to have like an artificial full looking tree like this one, if you see the pole, I think that kind of takes away from the realism of the tree, and it also makes it look a little cheaper in some ways if you're going for a full looking tree, right? So given that my trees that have been 1900 or higher in the tip count, I haven't been able to see the pole. In this tree, I can see the pole in certain sections. However, given the overall shape of the tree, because the branches do swoop out and then come in, the little sections you do kind of see the pole in, it looks natural. It actually doesn't look bad. It doesn't look cheap. It looks like, oh, that's how the tree is supposed to look, because it's supposed to have that really more of a wispy natural look to it. I also appreciate how what they did to the pole is it does have some fake snow and it is covered. So if you do happen to see sections of it, it doesn't look like it's the pole. So they did a really, really good job with the tip count, and then compensating that with the overall shape of the tree, and then on top of that with their flocking job, it looks really, really good. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the lights. Now the lights is a big thing. So there is no bells and whistles to the lights. Like I said, there is no on and off foot pedal. You can't change it from multicolored to warm white, and there definitely is no twinkle lights. However, there is 400 LED lights on this Christmas tree, and it is a warm white, which I like because to me it has that beautiful traditional warm glow. And the flocking doesn't cover up the lights. If anything, it just adds to the overall ambiance and effect. This tree has 400 lights. Again, that is a great amount of lights for this size tree, regardless of the price range, right? If you can get a 7.5 foot with 400 lights, you have yourself a very well lit tree. Now, they did skimp on the lights a little bit in some ways, and I'll tell you how they did that. The quality of the LED lights is just overall a little lower quality LED light, and most people won't notice it. I notice it because it's my job to notice these things. So basically, the lights, you can tell they're a little bit lower quality because they kind of have this like vibration to the light itself if you look at it. I don't think most people will notice, but I definitely notice it. If you're leery about that, if I were you, I would go check it out in the store on display and see if that bothers you or not. But like I said, I don't think it's going to bother most people. The other thing I want to mention about the lights is that I like a tree that's well lit from within out. So like for instance, my King of Christmas or my Home Depot tree, the lights on the branches go from the tip of the branch all the way into the center of the branch. And so every branch is like that. However, with the Walmart tree, they kind of do that on every other branch. So not every branch has the lights going from the tip to the back of the branch, but the overall effect is still really nice. It still looks like a well-lit tree from within out. And I don't feel the need to put on any extra lights for that. Now let's talk about the flocking of this tree. Let me start off by saying all flocking is messy. You're not gonna ever have a flocked, unmessy tree. There's two types of flocking in this world. There's what I like to call the powdery flocking, and that is you touch the branch or the tree and the flocking goes poof. It's like a dust powder that goes everywhere. Or there's what I call the dense flocking. That comes off, it just falls straight to the ground. When I ordered this tree this year and I got it in, it's the dense flocking. If it comes off, it falls straight to the floor, and the way it's done is so nice. This tree, I feel like it's a little bit finer and more evenly distributed, which just gives a beautiful look. It just looks really, really good. They did a fabulous flocking job, and I love that they're using the dense flocking. The only complaint I have about the flocking is that it does have a smell to it. Right now, from how I'm standing from the tree, I can't smell it. You do smell it when you're putting it together and it's coming out of the box, and then it kind of like aerates out and dissipates. And so I do know the Home Depot tree definitely had a much stronger scent to it. My King of Christmas, however, it was heavily flocked and there's no smell to it whatsoever. So, the King of Christmas is a little more expensive, so that might be why, but it does have a slight smell to it, and so that will just need to air out. By the way, I'll link all the Home Depot King Christmas, all my other trees I've gotten so far and did reviews on down in the description box. I do think that this is the best quality tree you can get for $169. And one thing I forgot to mention when it came to the overall tip count, realism, and shape of the tree is that it also has pine cones. This tree comes with pine cones. Love that. I love that. It's like an extra special touch. Is this a tree for you? That's only something that you can decide. It's just my job reviewing it, sharing with you the specs, the pros, the cons, and letting you decide. So let me know what you decide down in the comments. I would love to hear them. I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember to come back and stick around if you want more Christmas tree reviews. And that is my cue. My little one is blowing bubbles at me to go feed her. So with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye, and Merry Christmas.